building up the riverbank and everything that's connected to it, and maybe a sneaky peek of the building plans. So stay tuned and all will be revealed. Well, good evening everyone and welcome back to Piccadilly. Now, as you can see, I've put the foliage on that third section just there now, and I can't be any more pleased with the way that's looking. I mean, it almost looks finished, but obviously it's a long way to go yet. But I thought if I just pull you back and then you can see the whole scene from all the areas that have been completed over the last few months. So there we go, obviously there's dinting, a new mill central, and yes, these trees down here need work. I'm not happy with those at all, so I'll do those shortly when I'm doing this bit. But you can see the whole scene is literally starting to come together now. If I just zoom you in so you can see. So really pleased with that. And just in case you haven't seen the scene from that side, I do need to do a little bit work on the lower tunnel. It's suffering a bit, but I can get that sorted. But it's coming together. All the different areas are starting to link up, and I'll be thinking about fascias soon. Obviously there's the main line going down there, which you see on pretty much every video at the minute. And just in case you haven't seen, and for those more newer subscribers, there's Manchester Piccadilly. So I'm really pleased with the way that's coming on. Right, what are we going to do in this video then? Well, what I need to do is to start thinking about the basic structures in the area down here, the walls, and connecting up. There's another path with a wall there, and obviously there's some other structures over here and around the back. So my first job is to get all those walls in, and then once we've done that, then we can see what space we've got for the buildings and the walled garden. It's a big scene. Right, welcome back. So you can see now I've put this extra piece of wall in here so that the path looks as if it's going off in this direction as opposed to stopping in the middle of nowhere. That is literally just a piece of 2mm grey board covered in some brick paper, and another piece of 2mm grey board covered in some concrete paper in there. And that, once this is all dried and firmed up, it will need to be smothered with foliage along this sort of lines, so because it does drape over quite a lot. Now moving on to this section, I've got to probably cut this back a little bit, maybe 2 to 3 centimeters, a little bit. And there's a wall going on up there and sort of that direction, and then there's like a small gravel bank, quite a shallow gravel bank up to about here, and then it's sort of the wall stops, and then the gravel bank sort of picks up with that bit going around the corner there. So it just takes a little bit of working out, but we'll get there and I'll show you shortly. All right, kind of like that. So you can see I've got this big piece of what looks, for want of a better thing, I think it's concrete, the remains of a wall, and there's a little bit of a tunnel just there, and obviously the wall in there, and you can see. So there's that piece of concrete I'm talking about, which is that bit. And there's the wall. And there's the tunnel. And you might be thinking, well, I've done it quite tall. Yeah, don't forget there's the water to go in. So, and then the gravel's got to go up a fair bit of that. And then the water will just cover quite a bit more than that as well. So, you know, bearing all that in mind, it did need to be reasonably deep, because I'm looking for the water to be around about the, 10mm. Might have to do it in a couple of pours, but yeah, so it's getting there bit by bit. Still looks a bit of a mess, but I'll cut that bit off and make that nice and straight across there, or certainly a diagonal across there anyway. But yeah, so I will carry on getting the rest of that done, and I'll start putting the sand in, I think, and the sand and the gravel and all that sort of stuff. And it looks like this top surface up here does seem to slope down a little bit, so I might have to sort of remove some of the stuffing, if you like, from inside there and just sort of push it down a bit. and the building's clearly, as you can see, on a slope. So, all right, I'll catch you shortly. All right, next bit. So I'm now looking at the other end of the Millennium Walk, and there is a big brick step arrangement here, just to show you what I mean, which is this. So there's the end of the Millennium Walk just there, and basically what you've got is one step coming down here, another one down there, another one there, and one down there. So I might simplify that arrangement a little bit, but I'm also going to simplify what you see, because when you look at the actual path, there is another path coming down this way, whereas I'm just going to have that single path going up that way. Okay, so please understand what I'm building here isn't what you see there, purely because I've got to tie it in with the other parts of the layout. I've got to make it look convincing from that point of view. If you remember, the point of the layout is that we've got sections of, or dioramas if you like, which are miles and miles and miles apart, and they're plonked next to each other. So I've got to make it work, and the scenic breaks have got to be kind of believable. So what I'm going to do, this path is going to disappear up. If it went straight, it would appear to go on the tracks. So I've got to have that turn in it. And I'm going to simplify this step arrangement too. So it'd be just easier to, I'll do it and you'll see exactly what I mean when I've done it. Okay, so I'll crack on with that and I'll show you shortly. There you go. I don't show you much before the end of the video, so little teaser if you like. So obviously you can see this area is pretty much there now. Lots of white glue around, so obviously that will settle in time. It's suddenly got quite cold now, so it might take a day or so to go off, but you know, it takes as long as it takes, doesn't it? But you can see now I've got the path going in, and it does go up that way, and there is a little set of 3D printed steps down there, which I've printed myself, down there and obviously down there. These handrails, I can't remember what where they've come from, but they were bought in a packet. Bought them many years ago when I had my first layout, and they sold steps to go along with it. And so I bought a set. I've used all the steps, but I did have some of those hand railings left, so I thought I might as well use them here. There's no point in having this stuff if you don't use it, is there? So I thought it might be better to 3D print, paint that silver, I mean. I'm going off on one, aren't I? But yeah, so that's coming out nicely, and obviously that just represents a concrete block going down to the river. There is a set of steps going down there. Not totally sure the reason, whether it's for people for safety reasons, for anything to do with the river, or access to the river, or access to the area around the river. I don't know whether it's for people getting on a boat because it's near the weir. I'm not sure it would be that safe, because the boat would literally just go off straight down and end up, you know, coming around the corner. It's not going to be particularly good for boating. So, you know, if you do know why the steps are there, please do say in the comments. It'd be quite interesting to know. But anyway, that's that area pretty much done, and I'll show you at the end once it's all dried off. Somebody did comment in the video, in the last video, am I going to put people on? And yes, most definitely. There will be not a huge number, but there will be some people walking around, and particularly in this area here when that's all been worked up as well. I'm deliberately not showing you what's behind the camera now, so you have to wait for that, I'm afraid. Okay, I'll catch you shortly. I do need to start thinking about the buildings, because the top edge of this area, just here, there is another tunnel and a load of walls, but I need to know where the buildings go really to be able to put them in. Otherwise I might make them too big or too small, and that would waste time. So what I've done is taken a photograph of this from a bird's eye view point of view, if you like, and I'm going to put it into Affinity Designer and then take an image from Google Maps and place it over the top and hopefully scale them to roughly the same size, and then we can work out how big the buildings have to be, and I can then work out the scale of the building from the windows, etc., etc. after that. Okay, I'll catch you shortly. Welcome back. Now, I did what I said. I took a photograph of this board, and then I took a screenshot from Google Earth, and then putting them into Affinity Designer, which is a bit like Photoshop, that type of thing, and then one on top of the other, making one a bit sort of less transparent. I was able to place the buildings onto effectively this. So what I've done is then created shapes of the buildings, and this is an open courtyard type area, and see what I could fit. And I'm absolutely amazed to find that actually I can probably fit the mill pretty much full size. And I say pretty much because it's not quite. We'll have to squash things a little bit, but take a look at this. Right, there we go. Now, I've taken a screenshot of the real thing from there and from there, and then reproduced that twice. So what you see there and there is exactly the same. It won't be on the real thing, but to give me an idea of what this looks like. Now, one's come out darker than the other. It doesn't look like it here, but the ends are considerably darker. So when I take you around the other side, please understand that's how it's come out. It obviously won't be the same when I make the model. But I wanted to scale it. There's a door there, that white rectangle is a door. Now, in N-gauge, a door will be generally about 15 millimeters high by about 6 or 7 millimeters wide. An N-gauge person is around about the 12 millimeter mark, so the extra 3 millimeters above their head is usually about right. You could get away with 14 millimeters, but certainly no less than that. So I've managed to scale that up, and you can see that it actually looks about right. Now, those windows, they are big windows for a factory, and they would be, and it doesn't look too bad. But what I'm thinking is to maybe take the top story off, because it is quite an imposing building, and the real thing sort of comes to about there. Now, obviously, if I did that, I'd only end up with 2 stories. So whatever I do is going to end up coming above the station. So what I don't want is that I make it as it is, and then you can't see anything behind. That would be slightly destroying the point of the object. So I'm, like I said, contemplating removing the top story and then just leave the 4 floors up to that point. So it'd be interesting to see what you think about that. There's loads to do in the meantime, but now I've got that done, you can see that I can even fit some of the other buildings on. This part here is like a courtyard area, and there's a massive tree here, and that's another building, and that's another building. Let's take a look around the other side. Right, so there we go. So now I've got the view from the other side of the mill, but also the unit is back into the layout again, so you can see what it looks like in its entirety. So I'll start over here. There's the area that I was working on before. So it's all dried up now. So you can see this big lump of concrete in here now. There's a little tunnel from down there. A little bit of wall that I was pointing out to you, and obviously the walkway which joins up with that section just there. Going over the other side, So you can see the steps in there. And yes, I know they're different from what's actually there, but I wanted to sort of make it a little bit more compact and fit in with the area there. I didn't want that to dominate. And I've got a feeling this area may be a little bit longer in reality. So again, I just didn't want it to dominate. But you can see, I don't think that makes an awful lot of difference, to be honest with you, to be fair. But also you can see from this side of the mill now, I've taken, you've got 3 buildings here now. So I had to think about what this was looking like. And I did say that this building looked pretty much full size. I'm kind of thinking it isn't. And I'm kind of thinking it's probably around about the 4/5 size. Now, as I said, the doorway, and that's the same both sides, if you remember, as I said before, the doorway does look as if it's about the height of the windows, as I've got that rectangle just there. So in scale terms, I still think I can get away with it in that size. But these buildings here did seem very small, and so what I've done is increase the size of these buildings a little bit more. So this looks like somebody's house, or at least a past person's house, and there would be another building here. That looks like some kind of roof covering. It's an open area underneath. Look like an open storage area, to be honest with you, and that's a roof. And that's obviously some kind of building. I'm not sure quite what. But you could actually walk down here and then out the other side, down some steps onto this courtyard just here. And you could go out onto this veranda here where there's parasols and have a meal. So there must be a restaurant in there somewhere. I don't know the ins and outs of it. I'll talk about that shortly in another video. But this area here rises up probably, I'm guessing, about 1 inch. Now, I was debating whether to do that or not, but I think actually I can make it work. I wanted to see what it looked like on the layout. Now, I still need to do this area under the viaduct because I just left it, if you remember. So that will need building into this. But I could still have this area rising up with trees. So very similar to what I've got here. So this would be all tree foliage, but just rising up 1 inch. I think that will work fine. And the path sort of, like I said, slopes out. I did think it was a road, but actually the road sort of stops around here. There's a car park in this area. And it's just a wide path going down to all the different facilities that are down there. There's a wall. And then another wall and a set of steps between, so you can actually walk down the set of steps and start coming into this area down here, which looks like a little walled garden. There's certainly some ruins around here of what would have been an original mill, or the original mill. So I'm not sure whether part of the mill was rebuilt or whether it was knocked down during the war. I don't know, but certainly there's some ruins around this area here. There's also a big chimney around this sort of area here, which I will do to what I believe to be scale size as best I can anyway. But I think you would agree that's starting to come along quite nicely. I did mention that I would cut this down to 4 stories, and you can see I've done that. And I think that's less imposing. But the real area does sit a lot lower than this, and as you can appreciate with the boards and everything else, it would be a nightmare to try and lower it down. So I'm just going to leave it and build it up as it is. So I think you can just about make out, if you go around that side, you can still see parts of it. Obviously there's going to be buildings here, so all that will be obstructed to probably around about there. But from a person coming in to see the real layout, that's where you're going to be, over there. So I'm in a little well in the layout at the moment, so it's, unless a person's quite fit and agile, they won't want to come through to this bit. But yeah, it's definitely getting there, isn't it? Anyway, next week is Whalley, and I will be there on the Saturday. So if you're there, I would love to meet you, so do come and say hello. I will be wearing my badge, Piccadilly Model Railway's badge, the one I showed you when I went to get. Still got that. So if you're not sure what I look like, look out for that. I'll probably be wearing all black, to be honest. But yeah, do come and say hello. It'd be really, really lovely to meet you. But it also means that next week's video will be about Whalley and the things I get from that and what I'm going to do with those things. So another build video probably won't come for another couple of weeks. It's unlikely anyway. I might have a mad fit moment of burst of energy and just do it anyway, but we'll see how it goes. All right. Anyway, you just take care of yourself. And if I don't see you at Whalley, I'll catch you very, very soon here on Piccadilly. Bye for now.